So when I was checking the float levels on this set of carbs, these are the LG carbs, I noticed that the fuel T was leaking. So there's a quick fix for this, and I'll show it to you. You don't really have to, I checked both sides. This one doesn't leak at all, but this one is leaking. So you don't have to split the whole rack of carbs. It's very easy to just slip the little C-clamp off of here and then loosen off this screw. Alright, that's on the enrichment circuit. And just loosen off your brackets, and you'll be able to slide this entire carb off, remove the fuel T, and make my little repair on it. And then you should be able to slip the new T in there and then just replace the carb. Now you're definitely going to have to check your bench sink, because I'm going to have to back this screw off in order to slip this one off the number 2 carb. So once I get that back on, I'll have to redo the bench sink on this. So I've loosened everything off, and I'm ready to slide it out. The other thing I did was I loosened off all of the enrichment clips, retaining screws, so that I could rotate the lever so there's a flat spot instead of one of the detents for the little balls. And when I pull this apart, I'm going to be very careful. I'll be watching this to make sure I don't lose the little ball and spring on the number 1 carb. So now that the carb's off, and I'm looking at this, maybe I can get under the light so you can see. You can see the right side of this is wet, close to the T-fitting here, so I know that fuel is getting past these 2 ribs. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take an X-Acto knife here, and I'm going to score around these ribs, excuse me, and then remove the plastic, and I'm going to insert, I bought this set here for, I don't know, it was something like 15 bucks, something like that. And in here are little gas resistant O-rings, and these are the little dudes here that you're going to use to replace those ribs. They're RO3s. Alright. An RO3 has an inner diameter of 5, cross section of 2, and there's 18 in the kit. So this kit is really a very good investment, because I've used these things on just about everything in the house. Lawn tractors, you name it. So here we go. Here's what you're trying to do. And if you're patient, you can actually get it to roll right out of that slot. And then you just want to rub the knife back and forth in the slot, make sure it's nice and clean. So when you're done with the X-Acto knife, this is basically what you're going to get. Now, patience is everything with this, but what you want to do is clean them off, because you want the unit to be able to articulate up and down. Some guys will feed from the bottom, some guys will feed from the front, some will probably feed from the top. But you want it to be able to articulate up and down. So now once you get it this far, it's nice and clean. What I do is I take a Q-tip with a little bit of grease on it, and there it is. I'll just coat this so that the rubber will actually allow some sort of movement there, right? So you can articulate it up and down. Now, once you get the grease on, this is what it's going to look like. Don't be too concerned about getting too much grease on because the fuel runs down through the inside there. So what's on the outside really doesn't matter. Now the other thing I've done is I've coated the inside of the inlet hole here on the carburetor with grease on both carbs, so that it should slide in. Now the tendency is that the rubber will want to try to roll out of those grooves when you push it in if you don't have sufficient lubrication, but as long as you're patient, everything will work out. Okay, so there's your finished product. You see the ribs stick up nice and tall, so that's a good seal. Maybe you can't. Anyway, here's one that's never been touched. There, that's better. Here's one that's never been touched. And you can see how tight the ribs are. So if I just measured what that is, and it turned out to be 968 millimeters. Now I just measured the new one, and the measurement is 10.1 millimeters. So there's going to be ample friction, and there should be some articulation value there as well, so that I can move where I want the fuel hole's location. So you can see that I've inserted it now into the first carb body. Now it's just a matter of slipping this carb body back onto the rack, and there's my little ball bearing. The springs are already in there. So it's just a matter of lining her up, throwing her on, and this carb tee won't leak at all. The carb body's been replaced onto the rack. So you can see that the bench sink still has to be done. But now these may have to be slid just a little bit left or right before I tighten these down. And this one helps me line up. I twist the enrichment lever until I get the detent in the proper spot. The trickiest part there is just getting this carb over the little ball bearing. And other than that, the holes are all going to line up so that the carbs are square and they're level. Then I'll bench sink them again, and I don't know if I'll get a chance to retest them today, but it's easy to reassemble from this point on. So here they are, all back together again, bench synced, and you can see the circuit works good. So all the balls are back in place. Turnaround time on this was probably something like, I don't know, 35 minutes, maybe, something like that.